Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 263rd ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the MSP studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How you doing today, Kyle?
Doing great, Cameron. Doing really great today.
It was a great weekend of football.
Great week.
All around. Mizzou won, Chiefs won, Panthers lost, which is good. We're going for that number one pick. Yep. Keep it up, guys. Yeah, it was really fun. Sorry, I took away why you're great, but I assume it's because Mizzou won.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get right into that and talk about that big win and look ahead to Memphis. And don't forget, you can subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review wherever you listen to us, and you can support us directly on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. Let's just get right into it. Mizzou wins 30-27 on a walk-off 61-yard field goal from Harrison Mevis. I figured we just start there, start at the end, because I don't want to waste time. I just want to get down to that beautiful moment.
Everything else is trivial.
True. Yeah, it doesn't matter how we got here. That kick, him making that kick, I don't know. That's an all-timer for me, like watching Mizzou sports.
Did you think it was going to go in?
No. I'm pretty sure I said in the game chat on Discord, no chance he makes this.
Wow, still doubting them?
I was doing a reverse jinx, and it worked.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 60.
Don't thank me, thank yourself.
Who out there thinks like 61 yards? Yeah, we got it. Everybody on that sideline.
I kind of thought like if anybody can do it, I think he could do it. But for some, I don't think I realized, 61 yards, that is absurd. Longest field goal in SEC history?
Yep.
Is that real?
But not Mizzou history. Because in the 80s, I have his name here somewhere, Tom Wheelahan made a 62-yarder against Colorado in
really?
1986.
That mile high air, though, maybe.
True, yeah.
It's cheating.
Now watch it be at home. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, which it's interesting, getting a little off topic here, but the SEC will be like, oh, SEC legend Chase Daniel. Like, SEC legend whoever.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
But they don't import all the stats, I guess, all the records. That's fine. Yeah. Either way, Missouri has the SEC record. But in the record books, it's Harrison Mevis. That was just incredible. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I didn't want to let myself think that he was going to make it. And all the pressure was off because if he misses, you just go into overtime. Obviously, didn't want to go into overtime. And that whole sequence with the penalty and spiking the ball, it was just a blur.
Yeah.
And Coach Drink talked about it after the game in the press conference, how that was just a complete failure from the coaching staff to not realize that the play clock was winding down. Mm-hmm. He didn't even realize that the offense was huddled up over on the sideline with Coach Looper.
Yeah, I think everyone was a little overwhelmed in that moment.
That was insane.
Yeah, we'll probably go into more detail about that later, but I don't I'm almost afraid to divulge this information. I don't know if it makes me just a pathetic human or if this makes me a good fan. I don't know, somewhere in between. But I had literal tears streaming down my face after the field goal was good, and it took a minute because at first I was celebrating,
mm-hmm.
but then I think after it hit me so hard.
Yeah.
And I know we didn't just win a national championship or something. It seems ridiculous that it's we beat Kansas State. You're crying about it, but it just felt like, man, we just needed something to go our way so bad. I just felt so good for all the players, the
mm-hmm.
coaches who have worked so hard for this, and just felt like all of this momentum we've had finally just paid off in this moment. I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season. I don't know. But in that moment, it was just it just felt incredible, and I felt so happy for everybody.
Yeah, and what got me was Coach Drink, borderline getting emotional, and the sideline interview right after it happened.
Yeah.
It just felt like everybody could feel that in that moment. Oh, so fun.
For sure. Yeah, that was a special moment for sure. And haven't had a lot of those lately. So it was good.
Hopefully more to come. A little bit more about Mevis, though, on that kick. He's now 11 of 15 in his career on 50-plus yarders. And that was his 66th career field goal make for Mizzou, which ties him for first all-time with Andrew Baggett. We talked about kicking stats before the season started, and it's hard with the record book because I don't always know if it's up to date. But one more field goal from him, and he's the Mizzou career makes leader. And the second place on 50-plus yarders was at 6, so he's blown past that. And I saw somebody tweeting about, sorry, I can't remember who you were, but they were saying that the record for percentage makes on 50-plus yarders with a minimum 15 attempts that he is like way past the previous all-time high for percentage there on 50-plus yarders. So it was pretty crazy. His little journey the last year and a half of being this invincible, can never miss, is going to win you a game single-handedly to what's going on here, missing some kicks he should make. And then
it was a little bit ironic because he missed a field goal or something in the beginning of the game or earlier in the game. And I saw some tweets after the game was over, saying oh, Mevis doesn't have it anymore and stuff. Just tweets I hadn't seen yet that were a few
from
hours.
3 hours earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm oh, okay, wow, that didn't age very well. But I feel Mevis is going to be remembered. If he makes that kick, if he misses that kick, he's had an incredible career. He's just a unique character. He's a lovable player. He's going to be remembered no matter what. But he cemented himself in Mizzou history forever with that kick, and just with setting the record, winning a massive, massive game, just having the stones to go out there and nail it. Pretty legendary.
Yeah, and it being backed up 5 yards further than you should have been.
Yeah, for sure.
But how do we get there? Because it was fun. It was a fun journey to get to that point. The game started out a little bit rough with that first K-State possession ending in a touchdown off the tipped pass. And it was oh my gosh.
We're doing this? Yeah.
If these kind of breaks are going to go their way, this is going to be a long game.
For sure. That felt pretty demoralizing after they kind of marched down the field and then ended with a lucky
at the
play.
I was kind of torn in the moment because I'm also thinking well, we did it. We basically stopped them, and it was just this fluke that allowed it to happen. But at that point, I was thinking, how many stops are we guaranteed in this game? How many times are we going to get them off the field with just 3 points or no points?
This historically has not been a team that climbs out of holes.
Exactly. Honestly, though, Mizzou all around played a pretty great first half. Basically, right up until Cook's injury, not very many complaints. The one Mevis miss, but he had a make in the first half. Obviously, the 47-yard touchdown pass to Luther Burden just immediately was a wake-up call to everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, the offense is showing life immediately.
Yeah, totally different offense than we've seen.
Perfect response to the fluky touchdown from Kansas State.
Yeah.
Marched on the field in no time. Big shot to Luther Burden for the touchdown. Made it look so easy. And I don't know if Kansas State's secondary is actually Swiss cheese and they're going to get exposed through the course of the Big 12 season, but Brady Cook and the Mizzou offense had no issues dealing with the Kansas State secondary.
Yeah. Their coach in the post-game press conference kind of talked about how we showed a lot of things that they hadn't seen. I would obviously assume the aggressiveness through the air is definitely one of those things he's thinking of, but Luther Burden has really developed a lot as a wide receiver. I know he's really talented really from the moment he got to campus, but just as a route runner, typically he really hasn't been a burner. Typically, he'll run you over. He's been kind of a yak monster for sure, just, yards after the catch, but he hasn't really beaten people over the top a whole lot at Missouri yet.
He'll have a step on him sometimes, but
But I think he's just really, really developed and has turned into what we hoped he could be. And not every 5-star player that goes through college football is what they, are hoped to be. But so far, Luther Burden has probably even maybe surpassed what I thought he might do, and that's saying something. Only 3 games into his sophomore year,
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Has been in all 3 games so far.
just carrying the team.
Yeah. A few other notable moments. Obviously, early Chris Abrams drain interception, kind of setting the tone for the defense. Like, hey, we're here to play. We're not going to back down from this challenge after the fluky first touchdown. And then I can't remember. Yeah, this was in the first half. The fake end around to Burden. Cook keeps it for the touchdown on fourth and
down.
1 or 4th and goal from the 1 yard line. Good to see them go for it, obviously. Fantastic. It felt so good to see them have a play. Just like, this is a play if we're in this spot. And they had the opportunity to break it out. And it was just a beautiful play call, beautiful play construction. And you mentioned them airing it out a little bit more. Coach Drinkwitz said in the post-game press conference, or maybe it was pregame for Memphis, that the exact quote was they had a throw-first mentality going into the game against Kansas State. And he said in the post-game press conference, when he was asked about holding stuff back in the first 2 games, he said, this is chess, not checkers. So maybe we'll get to that a little bit later, but I was just so relieved to see that they really did have something in the offensive scheme that we hadn't seen yet. And that, not to necessarily say they were holding back a lot. It's hard to say, really. What's your take on it?
Yeah. No idea if this is true, but I've heard a couple people mention they had heard that there was virtually very little to no prep for the first 2 games, and they were prepping for Kansas State literally in week 1. I feel like this game has been circled on the calendar, and they went out there and played like they've been thinking about this game for a long time. And no clue if that's true or not, but I have every reason to believe, because they came out and just played like a completely different team. They have shown us nothing to expect that they were going to come out and do that.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them do that at all.
Yeah.
Against much worse competition. They were not even remotely doing the same things they were doing against Kansas State, and it made for such a great game.
Yeah.
Back and forth, and just explosive, like confident play calling, just something completely different than we've seen.
Going into halftime, Missouri was up 17-14. It felt like it could have been more, because right before halftime, Brady Cook gets hurt, and he's running out of bounds, hyperextends his knee, and just I was kind of panicking, but also thinking like, holy crap, if this offense is legit under Brady Cook, could Sam Horn step in right now and keep it rolling? Now, we may, spoiler alert, we may see that in week 4.
Yeah.
But I was very nervous, and as much as I would have liked to see them get some more points before halftime there, I was very much of the mind of like, let's get to halftime, evaluate Brady Cook, get Sam Horn ready to lead the offense in the second half, or whatever is going to happen. Let's get to halftime with the lead and reconvene there.
No disasters before halftime,
And that's what happened.
Yeah. I think you said on Discord, actually, it was something funny. You said, like, this is either going to be terrible or magical.
Yeah.
Like when Sam Horn came in. Because, it looked like Brady, I think he fairly serious injury, but it looked like he might not be able to come back in at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it looked like Sam Horn might have to just finish this thing the way Brady was acting at first. And anytime you see, and he took a little bit of a weird hyper extending step, like kind of foot got snagged a little bit. Like it didn't look great when he kind of went out of bounds there. So
and immediately took a big sack right after that.
Yes, got hit really hard.
At some point there, that's when he came out of the game. Horn came in, just handed the ball off twice, and it was like that's when it really set in. Like,
isn't it so ironic that the one time that it felt like Sam Horn was finally going to get a chance, it was like not now.
Yeah.
Like I just keep doing what we're doing. I didn't want to change anything. No. Brady Cook looked like something we've never seen before. I just wanted him to keep doing what he was doing. And so,
But that felt like such a Mizzou moment to be like, oh, we're
did.
actually doing this, and now our quarterback's going to go down, and that's going to derail the entire thing.
Yep, it really felt like it was headed that way.
There was a moment that I noticed in particular where shortly after the injury, just like muscle memory took over, and Brady Cook, instead of throwing the ball away, he like rolled out and scrambled just to get to the line of scrimmage. No gain, no loss. But it was on Kansas State's sideline. So he like runs out of bounds, is just met with just the enemy. Nobody even acknowledges him. And I swear the look on his face, because he's already hurt at this point, he's running on this bum knee. He's just looking like, I should have thrown that ball away. Like his eyes were wide. He was just like jogging all the way this wide circle back to the huddle. And I was just like, oh, he just realized in that long jog through Kansas State sideline how much his knee hurts right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty nervous for sure. He did not look right. And the third quarter really didn't ease my concern at all. I think the third quarter was when pretty much nothing happened, right?
Yeah.
Like he was a statue, was not mobile at all, was making pretty inaccurate throws.
It was a little sketchy there for a minute.
It was very sketchy.
Yeah, and Kansas State's offense decided the fullback was going to carry them to the promised land. And I guess that speaks to Mizzou's defense kind of like shutting down the main options, and they have this fullback that they can turn to in the passing game. He ended up being their leading receiver. 5 catches for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, they had the wide receivers locked up, but didn't really have an answer for Senate.
Yes.
I am the Senate.
Yes, the Senate. Yeah, he dominated, and that was like seeing big number 34 rumbling into the end zone was tough to watch after a while.
A little infuriating, but spoiler alert, he did like drop a pretty crucial pass at the end of the game that if he caught it, they're probably in field goal range and win. So I don't hold any grudges.
Mizzou's defense, though, it was interesting. Like they got to Howard a couple times. Obviously, he had the interception early, but I didn't see exactly when it happened or if there was a specific moment. But by the end of the game, by the fourth quarter, he was hobbled a bit and obviously was banged up and not as mobile. And he had a similar situation where he like ran in a would-be touchdown that got called back on his like whatever was ailing him. And he just had this look like, oh my gosh, I got to go do this again.
Yeah, it looked like it happened 2 different times in the game, one in the first quarter and then one later in the game where he was running into the end zone, and I'm pretty sure Senate was the one like holding.
Oh yeah.
And it got called back both times. So yeah, we were fortunate there. But yeah, Howard honestly looked almost as banged up as Brady did in the second half. Like they were both struggling, and it affected their play quite a bit.
He was still making some plays though.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a decent game, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns and the interception. But he looked okay out there. Then they brought in that other quarterback specifically just to run.
Yeah,
and just like this
only ran it
long-legged freshman guy, and
he was moving the ball.
He was effective, yeah.
I was kind of hoping that they would just leave him out. Like every time he came in, he was getting like 8 or 10 yards.
And I just kept waiting for like it was like okay, all he's doing is running the ball.
Yeah.
And then I just knew at some point he was going to throw a bomb. For a touchdown.
Exactly.
Luckily, that never happened.
Yeah, he wasn't in there long enough to do all the misdirection, but I had a feeling that was coming too.
But then all our worries subsided when Brady Cook just started tossing the ball around again. Yeah. He had that one throw to Weiss that just placed it just perfectly right over his shoulder.
That was wild.
Like right past the defender's helmet, right into his hands.
Yeah.
For a huge gain.
Incredible.
And then right after that, Marquise Johnson, first catch of his career.
Yeah, that was clutch.
And we had just talked about last week, like not seeing the younger players enough. And like you specifically called out moving Mookie Cooper to the slot at one point when Miller was hurt. And I don't know, there's just multiple moments. Like how many times in this game it was like the deep ball to Luther Burden, the creative play on 4th and 1, getting
Brett Norfleet catch,
incredible catch from him. We had seen him a little bit in a previous game.
Had seen that?
No, not that.
That was a very impressive catch.
Johnson getting in there and making a big play.
I mean, how long has it been that we've had a tight end? I guess we had Alberto, but I mean, he just really went up there and got the ball, really contested catch on the sideline.
Yeah.
1 foot in. Like, that was impressive.
Beautiful. Beautiful. But yeah, it was just like, they were just like checking off every box from last week, like everything we talked about last week.
Like,
they were
you're going to doubt us?
Don't worry, we got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank goodness for that, I guess.
Yeah, we'll take it.
And then one of the biggest plays to put Mizzou up 27-24 to kind of finish the mini comeback there in the second half, the pass to Luther Burden that he took up the sideline, and just another one of those plays. Like, how many times have we seen it now?
Yeah.
Where he gets a play, or he gets the ball on the sideline, we look like, oh yeah, this is going to be a nice gain, and he just turns it into something.
Nobody touched him, I don't think. Yeah, it's like whenever you whenever you start showing different things on offense, it just totally opens up the entire field. And I don't know, whenever you're just running this very vanilla offense and, not showing that you're going to throw the ball over the top, defense can just sit down on everything you're doing. And whenever you start showing some explosion and you start threatening down the field, it just makes everything else easier. It makes the run game easier. It makes those kind of horizontal passes actually maybe worth something now.
Right.
And we kind of just started seeing the Kansas State defense unravel a little bit whenever all of these things just kind of started working at once.
They weren't pressuring Cook all that much. I mean, it was one of those games where we didn't have to say much about the offensive line, and that's always a good thing, really. If you're not noticing them very much, that means they're just doing their job. He got hit a couple times, and with his style of play, he kind of just puts himself out there more than other quarterbacks. But
he really hangs in there sometimes, though.
True. The only thing, I was trying to really examine some of our critiques from last week and just see how much they were really overcome versus everything's just kind of working right now. And I will say that Luther Burden was the number one option on a lot of Cook's dropbacks, and it worked. Like, he threw to Luther Burden for a completion a lot of times, but he did not look anywhere else. Most of those completions, which when it works, it works. As it came down to it here, Luther Burden with that incredible catch and run. Tyler Stevens with the block, got to shout him out on the sideline. That would have been tackled. Burden would have been tackled at the 5-yard line if not for that block. And the defense had a goal line stand to hold Kansas State to a field goal to tie it at 27. Mizzou got the ball back with 1:25 left. It was very chaotic. They were using way too much of the clock too quickly, in my opinion.
But they were still pretty confidently just marching down the field.
Yeah.
Kind of picking his spots. The wide receivers were just kind of sitting down in the zone and getting chunks here and there. And Brady was throwing, I was like, please do not get picked off right now.
Yeah.
And he just kind of marched them down.
We knew, set Memphis up. You don't have to get too close. It was looking okay.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get over, with one timeout. They used the timeout with 35 seconds left. Still needed to get 10 or 15 yards maybe. And then they're ready to go on a 56-yard field goal. And that's when it seemed like everything was unraveling. We talked about it earlier, but delay of game because the offense was just not out on the field.
Yeah, so they spiked the ball with 3 seconds left. Didn't they try to take a shot? Well, it was 6 seconds left. They tried to take a shot.
They tried to get the penalty yards back, and it got batted down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. That was after the penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still gonna hold Coach accountable for this one. I am thrilled with what happened. I'm thrilled with everything we saw, really, for the most part. But what happened on that play? I mean, he was trying to lose the game there.
Huge yikes.
I mean, I've never seen anything like that in a football game at any level. That you forgot you have to go out there and kick the ball. And that
they were always going to run another play there.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know. That was...
I mean, they weren't even close.
No.
It looked like they thought it was a timeout.
Drake came running in.
Yeah, they were huddled up on the sideline.
3 seconds left in the play clock.
Yeah, so they were going to need another 20 seconds to kick that thing. So I don't know what they were doing, but Luckily, it didn't matter. But that, I mean, can you imagine if he just misses the field goal? Like maybe he's like a yard short or something on the field goal.
Oh yeah, I mean he didn't make it by much.
Yeah.
But we got something, Cameron. You got something queued up here for us.
61-yard attempt from Harrison Mavis just to the right of the left hash. Out of the hole to Luke Bauer with 3 seconds to play in regulation, tied at 27. Good snap, good place. Kick is up. It is. Yes, a walk-off winner from 61. Harrison Mavis sends the Mizzou students running onto the turf as Missouri wins it on a 61-yard field goal by Harrison Mavis.
Great call from Mike Kelly there, and you could tell he was energized the whole game. I mean, his voice was starting to go towards the end,
running out of steam.
but he held on.
Yeah.
You hear the crowd react
That's
like
what
that.
I love about it. The crowd's going crazy. Just hearing all the stuff in the background.
The cannon going off.
PA announcer.
Yes, just chaos. And it was the best kind of chaos.
Yeah. Well, then there was the flag that we didn't know what it was
Right,
for.
right.
And then all the students were just on the field. There was
Yes.
like 1,000 people in the field in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Or probably more than that. And it was just chaos.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, what do they do if this is on Mizzou?
Yeah, that would have been.
They would have had to take 10 minutes to
Talk
clear.
about crying. I would have been crying.
Yeah. Yeah, they would have had to take forever to clear the field and all this stuff. But
But it wasn't until later that I saw that the flag, like the refs huddled up and everything, and then they were just like game over.
Yeah.
But the flag was 2 players on the defense with the same jersey number.
yeah.
And if you watched which I highly recommend you go watch, the Mizzou football, I don't know what they call it, the Week 3 mini movie that they put on YouTube. Excellent work by everybody involved in that. Just
Incredible.
like truly an awesome piece of content. I've watched it like 5 times already.
Yeah. There was like so much thought and
Yes.
and everything that went into that video.
There's like foreshadowing. There's just like perfect mood music
Yes.
and sound effects and stuff. Great job. But an interesting part of that is they show an assistant coach telling Drink they've got 2 guys with number 8 on the field. And then he books it to the ref and starts letting him know there's 2 guys with number 8 on the field.
Yeah. That's what I love about coach stepping away from the offense a little bit, taking more of the like CEO role maybe. Like it just seemed like that's something that maybe wouldn't have happened in the first couple of years. It seemed like the awareness was great there to like have one person that maybe that person's job is to just count the players on the field,
Yeah.
look at the jersey numbers, that kind of stuff. And obviously it didn't
Right.
mean anything, but it could have for sure in that moment. He could have
Now we
gotten to
just
re-kick it.
Just need somebody whose job it is to just watch the play clock.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was trying to read his lips on the mini movie because he's telling the ref there's 2 number 8s on the field, and then they cut back to him, and I swear he says he starts smiling when the kick is in the air, and I think he says something like it may not even matter or it's not even going to matter, and I'm just so glad they got that on camera because he's starting to smile, and that part of the mini movie it just like cuts from players to fans to coaches, everybody just barely, they're like watching the ball in the air, and then they start to think it's might go in, and then it's just chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he barely made that.
Yeah. I love how it showed just so many different perspectives of the ball being in the air. Brady Cook watching the ball, or even Mevis kind of watching his own shot. And just like it was giving me goosebumps just seeing all the coaches kind of like, oh my God, this has a chance. All that look on everybody's face was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't script it any better. Honestly, the drama of the game, the big plays, the finish, it was just truly perfect experience. I'll give you some stats real quick, and then we'll sort of get any takeaways that we might have here, especially considering how down we were last week and the whole fan base was. We'll discuss that a little bit, but Brady Cook finished the game 23 of 35 passing, 356 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 10 yards per attempt. It was a first down every time he let go of the ball.
Yeah.
On average. Cody Schrader, 10 rushes for 58 yards. Pete, 7 rushes, 18 yards. That was one aspect of the offense. Couldn't really get the running game going too much. Obviously, Kansas State's defense is known for stopping the run. Schrader did break out with a big run in the second half.
Felt like most of his yards probably came on that one run.
Yeah, I swear that one run was like doubled the total rushing yards for the team, and he got a face mask call that extended it even further. Luther Burden, 7 receptions for 114 yards. Mookie Cooper, 4 receptions for 79 yards. Good to see.
Probably one of his best games.
Yeah, for sure. And Theo Weiss, 6 receptions for 72 yards. They really did spread the ball around. Coach talked about in the post-game conference last week wanting to get Weiss more involved. I mean, yeah, couldn't ask for more, really. Just what a solid day of football. A couple lapses aside that just happen sometimes. Can't complain too much. But now we're going to talk about the Memphis game. But what are we thinking right now? Just kind of like the roller coaster that we've been on the last 2 weeks, but they never did lose a game.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, no, it feels really, really dumb to think how mad we were this time last week. I mean, we were down, man. Yeah. Like, it feels really silly to think about how negative we were after they just won 2 games. But I want to reiterate what I said earlier. They had shown us nothing to expect, to in a million years expect they were going to come out against a great defense and do what they did. Like, there's no way you could have possibly predicted something like that to happen if you had watched this team for the last year and a half.
All we had left to do was just hope that they hadn't shown us everything yet. We're just like, okay, like going into this game, please, Kirby Moore, Drink, Brady Cook, please cook less than the coaches, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Please, coaching staff, show us something we haven't seen yet.
It still felt like Brady Cook was executing the game plan, which is probably what he has been doing this whole time. Like we talked about last week.
Yeah.
I think Brady Cook is capable of doing more, but he's doing what he's being asked to do. And he continued to do that in this game, is what I'm choosing to believe.
And that was exactly what we needed. We didn't need anything different than executing that game plan. So, I mean, credit to everybody
for sure
for that.
So are you buying that is this what Missouri football is for the rest of the season now?
It's still so early. I got to hedge everything I say still at this point. Like I said, Kansas State's secondary might be bad.
They might be.
They didn't show much at all in this game. I mean, they were leaving guys wide open. Mm-hmm. Now, again, credit to Mizzou's coaching staff. They hadn't put stuff on film that would have necessarily made the Kansas State secondary nervous.
Yeah, they clearly didn't expect it.
Yeah,
them to come out like that.
Oh yeah, the coach said as much. So, I mean, where am I with the Mizzou offense? I am hopeful that was legit and that they were holding stuff back and
that they basically had the ability to take the next step, but hadn't done it. It's like
they had done it behind the scenes,
I guess, but that's just so different from a game. It's like, we've taken an extra step, but we haven't shown anyone. We just have to know in our hearts that we have.
Yeah.
And like, that's just so weird to me.
The only thing I can point to is how efficient Cook had been.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the play was so drastically different than what they'd shown the first 2 games. There's no way you could convince me that they weren't holding back.
Yeah.
It was it was just a different sport they were playing.
And then it's just like such a head scratcher because like, okay, well, when you're in these like closer than comfortable games against inferior opponents, like
playing with fire.
Yeah. How do you not justify breaking out the new tricks a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, if that truly was the play, chestnut checkers, then it went about as well as you could have possibly drawn it up. Just make those games as dangerously close and still winning as you possibly can.
Yeah, get that feel for a close game. Don't put anything on tape for
really confuse your opponent. Like, I don't know.
Confuse the podcasters.
Yeah, make us look silly too. Yeah. That kind of seems like fairy tale stuff, but man, it went about as well as you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, it almost, I don't know if I said it quite like this last week, but it's like, this is how I would do things in a video game where it's like, I have this like meta narrative in my head to make it more fun for myself.
Right.
It's like that's what happened here.
Got
basically.
a big game coming up.
Yeah.
Going to disguise everything. Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, now we need to talk about Cook's injury and what that means moving forward.
What throws a wrench in everything.
Exactly. So, like, was that real? Yes. Can we expect it moving forward? Probably to some extent, but now all of that is in question now with Cook's injury. And Coach Drinkwitz said that it was from a hyperextension and there's no ligament damage, no structural damage, but Cook has not practiced yet.
Yeah. Might be kind of a pain tolerance thing.
Yeah. And the difference in his play, like seeing him limp around right after and like in footage from practice where he's just kind of doing the walkthroughs and stuff, comparing him limping around there to how he played in the fourth quarter, he did not even look injured in the fourth quarter. Like
Right.
after the ball was snapped, he looked like his normal self.
Adrenaline was going.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think though for the Memphis game? Like, are you thinking?
I think he's going to play.
Yeah,
I think he would have to be laying on a hospital bed for
He's
Drink
gotta-
to not put him out there.
he's got to practice before the game though.
I would think so.
So it's Wednesday night. We're recording this. We need to see him practicing
I think he-
tomorrow
I think he
and Friday.
practiced today.
Oh, okay.
At
Good,
least
good.
I think I saw Mizzou football tweeted that he was back in the kitchen.
Okay.
Is what it said.
Good. Cooking up something.
Exactly.
All right.
Wearing a big old brace.
Before we get really into Memphis, anything else about like just the mindset of the situation and how the roller coaster?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It feels like I owe somebody an apology almost. Like after last week, like I feel like I probably owe the player. I probably owe Brady Cook an apology. I probably owe Coach Drinkwitz an apology. Again, I know we didn't just win the national championship or anything, but that was an impressive win and something that we haven't been able to do. Beat a solid non-conference opponent in a game where there's a lot on the line here. Like we've got a potential to go 5-0, a chance to go 5-0 going into the LSU game at home in a couple weeks. Like Missouri has not done this in the last few years. Like we've had a lot riding in the beginning of the season, a lot of hope and momentum, and then it just we fall on our face.
Yeah. Year after year.
Year after year. And I just kind of, why would I expect anything different this season? But we've stepped up to the challenge, and so things are really exciting now. So
Yeah, milestone number 1 is over.
Exactly.
Like, we crossed that hurdle.
Yeah. So I guess I owe everybody an apology, but at the same time, I don't think I've ever been so happy to be wrong in my life.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would take this every time. Like underestimate them and then be proven wrong, and it's the most fun thing ever. Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take that.
Coach Drinkwitz did. I might jump back to this game a couple times if I think of stuff, but in the post-game press conference, he was fired up, pissed off, you could say.
Yeah, he was.
Regarding apparent booing of Brady Cook that happened at some point.
That must have been like pregame. I never heard anything on the TV broadcast.
People that were at the game were saying, I don't remember that happening, but I could have missed it.
Yeah.
But I would imagine.
I mean, we basically have booed Brady Cook, I guess, through some of the things we've said about him, probably.
Yeah.
That's basically the equivalent.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. But yeah, the Drinkwitz Brady Cook connection stronger than ever.
It is like
And luckily,
they got a bond.
Luckily, we finally had the on-field results to back all of it up.
Yes.
In a big way. He also got annoyed about questions like regarding the injury limiting Cook's ability as a quarterback because of his now inability to run the ball, and Drink was visibly annoyed and said, "He can throw the ball, guys. It's not the end of the world if he's not as mobile as he needs to be or as he can be. We will see." But we're on to Memphis at the Dome in St. Louis. Good to be back.
Yeah.
And huge for all 18 players from St. Louis that are on this Mizzou roster.
Including the starting quarterback.
Yep. And Mookie Cooper was interviewed, and he said he's already lit about the opportunity to play in St. Louis. And in the pregame or like the lead up conference with Drink talking about Memphis, he was asked about playing Memphis specifically and like the regional rivalries and playing in St. Louis and what all that means. And it was kind of a little bit of a leading question, and it immediately, you could tell it gave Drink flashbacks to when he questioned playing at Boston College. And he immediately was like, he said, ask me those kind of questions in the off season. I don't want to get in trouble for saying, that a matchup is not as advantageous as it could be. Basically, that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah, Boston College jumped all over that, didn't they? I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, we don't need to give Memphis anything like that. But I'll say it on his behalf. Replace this game with Illinois every year. Oh, make me so happy.
To start.
First game of the year, every year. Give it to me. Let's see here. Memphis Tigers. Memphis Tigers are 3-0. They have wins over Bethune-Cookman, Arkansas State, and a close win over Navy. Have you watched much Memphis Tiger football?
Yeah, I watched a little bit. I think they kind of have they've been a very explosive offensive team. Like really in the last 5 to 10 years, they've had some really good NFL players. They have kind of fit that mold every year. They'll let you score on defense really for the most part, but they'll just catch up on offense because they just have the guys that can go out there and score. We watched Missouri play Memphis in the Drew Lock era. I think that might have been like 2017 or something like that.
A long time ago.
Yeah, I think Alberto had 3 touchdowns in that game. Like it was a fun one to be at because it was crazy scoring. I don't know that Memphis is that explosive as they were in that era. But they can definitely score. They've got a great running back, a pretty solid quarterback. So it definitely won't be an easy matchup by any stretch.
It's really tough to say though because they played 2 games against nobody.
Yeah,
especially Bethune-Cookman. The team total yards in that game, Cookman 91, Memphis 551.
Yeah.
So not really a competition there.
They didn't hold anything back
exactly
in their week 1 matchup.
One of Bethune-Cookman's touchdowns was defensive as well. And then Navy, it's just like,
nobody else plays
defending
like
the
that.
triple option. Like
Right.
what can you learn from that game?
Right.
They pulled out a win against a tough opponent. Close. Had to pull it out at the end.
Wild game too. There was like all these fumbles and stuff. Like the teams just were trading fumbles and stuff. But yeah, I would say probably the most obvious area that Missouri is going to be able to exploit in this game is Memphis's secondary. I felt like even Navy was just like running away from their like safeties and cornerbacks and stuff. Like even when they're just running this very slow paced like triple option offense, like if they got in space, they were just running by people. So if Missouri is even going to do half the amount of like aggression that they had last week, I think they're just going to roll in this game. So I think that'll be something to watch. And of course, again, the caveat with everything is Brady Cook's health and how he's able to play. But as far as the offense, I really don't have any concerns in this game.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Missouri's defense should be okay. I like them to show up again in the run game because that seems to be their strong suit. Hennigan is solid, but I think he's kind of similar to the other quarterbacks that we've faced so far this season, where they're just like very capable, but still prone to a bad mistake every once in a while.
Yeah, kind of a stationary passer who is just kind of take chunk plays one at a time. And I felt like at least this season, against meaningful opponents, he hasn't really thrown the ball deep a whole lot. He's kind of just taking what the defense is giving him and 10 to 15 yards at a time. So yeah, I don't think he is too terribly scary, but like we just saw last week, game plans can definitely differ depending on who you're playing against.
For sure. Yeah, and Memphis's defense, like they've got a lot of older players, but they're almost all transfers from somewhere else, so it's a little bit early for them to kind of be fitting the pieces together. And they're just very untested, besides having to defend the triple option, which they're not going to have to do again all season, most likely. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think one thing that we've seen in the Drinkwitz era is they do a really good job of getting the players to think one game at a time. That was something we've talked about it before, how like felt like in the Barry Odom era, like when the season was over, it was over. When they had a back-breaking loss, forget it.
Yeah. I mean,
that's one good thing about Drink is like we've had these stumbles earlier in the season, the last 3 years, but it hasn't caused collapse. We're still getting big wins later in the year.
yeah, the Barry Odom era was like, we aren't going to beat you if you're better than us.
Yeah.
But we still might lose to you if you're a lot worse than us. Like, no guarantees on anything here. Like, they would just lose to anybody.
Yeah.
And so far in the Drinkwitz era, like, I can't think of very many just terrible losses where they lost to a team they were way better than. We've had some close calls.
Yeah.
But he has really, like you said, done a really good job preparing the team, respecting their opponent.
Yeah.
So that they're not just sleepwalking through an opponent that they aren't respecting.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this one though. In St. Louis, the fans are gonna show up and be loud.
Yeah,
it'll be a super fun atmosphere. If I'm gonna predict a score, I feel like I'm gonna make a really like weirdly specific prediction. I think the fourth quarter of this game is gonna get a little wild. I think it may be a little bit slow for both offenses early, and then it's just gonna kind of go crazy late.
I thought you were going to predict somebody to have like 19 points at the end of the game or something like that.
I wouldn't put it past me. Give me Missouri 38-20.
Okay.
I don't know what the line is here, but that feels like covering probably.
I don't know that I've actually seen the line.
I'll see if I can find it. I'm thinking 38-20 Mizzou. A lot of scoring late.
That seems pretty good. How many did they score against Kansas State? Like 30?
Line's only Mizzou by 6.
Interesting.
I don't know. And people are calling Memphis like the best group of 5 team, but they haven't played anybody.
I know. It's just tough to know how good Memphis really is. And unfortunately, we're going to have to figure that out ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, we just played a good team, but Missouri just hasn't really been blowing people out really for a while. So I have a hard time predicting some big win. I do think Memphis is really solid. But I think Missouri will kind of run away with it late. I'll say 34-17.
Yeah, I want this to be a wake-up call for Memphis's offense that playing a real defense matters.
Yeah.
So I like that. They're averaging 40 points per game, 182 rushing yards per game. That needs to be under 150.
Yeah.
And I'll feel pretty good.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle to move it to the air. Like, Missouri's cornerbacks have just been so good. They've been so solid. Really, the whole defense has been pretty good, but I think Memphis will be able to run the ball a little bit, but we'll see.
I like Missouri's defense to get another turnover or two.
Yeah.
Keep it going there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think ideally Missouri just gets out to an early lead and they're forced to throw a little bit more than they want to.
Memphis quarterback, 5 TDs, 3 interceptions on the year already.
Yeah,
So
he's a little erratic for sure.
Percentage chance in your mind that Sam Horn is the starter and Brady Cook can't go?
10%.
Now, it seems like they're not worried about like re-injury or like further injury. It seems like it's a pain tolerance thing, which makes it definitely seem like 90% that he's out there.
Is there some chance that they just turn the keys over to Horn for a little while and just see how it goes?
No.
I don't think so either.
No.
They're just going to put Brady out there no matter what.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to know how well he's feeling because he's going to lie.
Yeah.
Even if he's in a lot of pain, he's going to play.
Yeah. But that's one of those things where I just have to trust that bond. And Coach said in the press conference that he trusts Brady Cook to tell him, they're going to be honest with each other. They both want Brady Cook to be out there. So
their bond is stronger than like 90% of marriages in America. Impenetrable bond.
But he said, and this is like, I trust Brady Cook to like say like, no, I think Sam Horn gives us the better chance. I don't think I can do what I need to do. So I trust Brady Cook in that scenario more than I do Drinkwitz, I think. We're both liking a Mizzou win. Let's make it 4-0.
Please don't prove us wrong this week.
This is the worst way to be proven wrong. We like the other way. We'll give you another chance to do that. I promise. Let's get a Mizzou win. And let's pick the rest of the SEC games, I guess. It felt nice. I actually watched like a full Saturday of football last week.
Oh my God. Winning a big game makes the rest of the games so much more fun to watch. Like I'm so intrigued by all the other games. Florida got a big win over Tennessee.
Yeah. I had picked some upsets, so I was like, had the shout out to producer Cameron's YouTube TV account because I had like 4 games going at once on my TV. That was really fun.
Was this past week when Georgia kind of struggled with South Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
Georgia was losing at halftime. It felt so good to think about the SEC standings again and stuff. I know we didn't win an SEC game, but it was like, wow, we might actually be good enough to contend for the East. If all these other teams
get ahead of ourselves
are
now.
not it felt
a lot
good
of winnable games on the schedule.
It felt good to at least think about that kind of thing again because we haven't for a while.
Yeah, I agree. Let's pick some games.
Okay, so last week, to recap, Cameron, you got 6 points. Kyle got 7. I got 7. The guest pickers got 5.
Pick one too many upsets.
Exactly 1.
You picked BYU to beat Arkansas correctly?
Yeah.
Cameron and I picked
UNLV over Vanderbilt.
to beat Vanderbilt.
Easy pick. I don't know what I was thinking there.
What were you thinking?
And
Barry Odom.
Cameron didn't pick Nebraska.
Yeah. What was the score of that game? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Doesn't matter. Cameron has 25 points. Everybody else has 26 points.
Okay.
Feels bad.
It's,
All right. We got this. No big deal.
We made up 2 points on the guest pickers this week. So
That's all that matters.
Nobody
So,
running
fresh start.
away with it.
Nope. We got 6 games to pick this week. Up first is
Who's our guest picker?
Tyler.
Shout out Tyler.
Welcome in.
Thank you, Tyler, for taking time out of your day to pick some games. First game is Kentucky at Vanderbilt. Kentucky is a 13.5-point favorite.
Kentucky is bad.
Bad?
Maybe.
Oh.
I think they're bad.
We got to get a fraudulent soundbite.
Yeah. It's like they're not even good enough to be fraudulent. They're just bad.
Okay.
They're just bad.
Okay.
They have no public sentiment of being good. They're just everybody knows they're bad.
Wow.
But they're not as bad as Vanderbilt.
This is going to be a game to watch, though, for Mizzou fans, too, because we got Vanderbilt after Memphis. Kentucky, that's a game that's very meaningful for the SEC standings. So I'll be watching this one closely.
Yep. Give me Kentucky, though.
Kentucky.
Kentucky all around. Our second game is...
Kyle says Kentucky's bad, but not Barry Odom, Missouri Tigers bad. They're not going to lose to Vanderbilt.
Of course not.
Oof. Anyway, second game is Auburn at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 7.5-point favorite.
Know nothing about these teams.
A&M's been a little weird. They've been playing pretty bad teams, though. I don't think they've played anybody good.
No. It's too early. I don't know anything about these guys.
Yeah, I feel like neither one of these teams have really played anybody.
Who did Tyler pick?
Texas A&M.
Who are you picking?
I was going to see what you guys pick.
I'll go A&M.
Okay, I'll go A&M.
I'll go A&M. I can't risk it by myself.
Too scary.
I got to be safer this week.
All right. Game 3 is number 15 Ole Miss at number 13 Alabama. Alabama is a 7-point favorite. Give me
Very
Alabama.
intriguing.
Alabama, the
Alabama.
most fraudulent team in the country.
Oh, yeah. They're terrible. Not terrible. That's ridiculous. They tried to play a different quarterback, though, and it did not go well. They
No.
pulled him immediately. Put in a third quarterback.
Yeah.
Didn't go well. Still won because they were playing nobody.
Yeah.
But the original guy is back, folks, against Ole Miss, who should have been playing the whole time because he was
And Ole Miss, big win over Tulane a couple weeks ago. We all remember that one.
That's true. That was a big win. Yeah, I'm taking Ole Miss.
Tyler takes Ole Miss.
Let's go.
I'll go Alabama.
Got a 50-50 split.
All right.
Where was that at? That was at Alabama.
At Alabama.
Well, rest in peace, meme. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's the idea.
Game 4 is Arkansas at number 12, LSU. LSU is a 17.5 point favorite. Give me LSU.
LSU by 1 million.
LSU by 2 million.
Everybody picks LSU.
They can't be undefeated anymore. They really messed that up.
They did. Who did they lose to? Florida State?
Yeah.
That's so dumb. Fire Brian Kelly.
Maybe. Well, never mind.
Arkansas is bad though.
They're awful.
Game 5 is Mississippi State at South Carolina. South Carolina is a 6.5 point favorite. I'll take Mississippi State.
Ooh,
I was going to do that.
you're welcome to South Carolina.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Spencer Rattler's like their only good player.
he's
all of a
been
sudden.
playing really well. I think they're just kind of not. They're just kind of mid.
Yeah.
I'll take Mississippi State.
They kind of showed in the second half against Georgia that they're a real player here.
All they needed was a halftime speech from Kirby,
True.
and they were back.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Last and certainly least, Louisiana Tech at Nebraska. Nebraska is a 19.5 point favorite.
Well, we know what Louisiana Tech is capable of,
Yeah.
and it's not much.
No. Yeah. We'll have to go with Nebraska on that one.
Are you saying my answer for me?
All of us will have to.
Yeah, I'll take
Most likely.
I'll take the corn dogs.
Nebraska all around.
Good luck, everybody.
That's that.
Good luck.
See you on the gridiron.
There's some pretty. Is there marquee matchups outside of the SEC?
Like, I remember reading a couple weeks ago that week 4 was really big.
Yeah. Probably is.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to talk about Colorado, though.
Oh, okay.
That's been fun to watch.
I stayed up until like 1:30 a.m. or something the other night watching that.
I
don't know why.
I had to watch the highlights afterwards.
I was like hating myself that I was still awake. But it was a great game.
So you saw the crazy like illegal play or like lacerated his spleen or something?
Well, I didn't watch like the whole game, but I was actually watching like most of the fourth quarter and stuff, but I saw a lot of replays of that.
Oh, yeah.
Lacerated.
It brought back, people were saying like, this is what college football hits used to look like, just for reference. And holy cow, they have cleaned up those kind of insane like sideline collisions quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still happens every once in a while. That was pretty ugly.
Yeah, I saw the guy that made the hit was like getting death threats and stuff.
Ugh.
But like Deion Sanders actually came out and said like, we have forgiven him.
Yeah.
Travis has forgiven him. Like we
Yeah.
are moving on, and I thought he handled that well.
I watched the College Game Day. Dion was on set, and then they brought out The Rock to be the guest picker, and I don't know, the whole thing, the atmosphere at the games and stuff. I'm bought in on what they're doing over there. It's just
For sure.
It's too much fun.
Yeah,
you think we could get The Rock to be our guest picker?
Probably.
Yeah, I'm
if
sure
we
he would
reach
love
out to him.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We've got the budget for that.
Yeah, college football's been really, really fun so far this year.
Yeah, it's a superior sport to the NFL. You heard it here first.
That's fine.
We all done here?
Yeah, game chat was rocking this weekend. So
True. Yeah.
if you're
Tune in.
if you're not in the Discord, go to Patreon, sign up for the Discord tier,
You got it.
climb in the game chat.
Welcome in.
It's pretty sweet.
Strap in for that.
Yeah. It's a time.
Yeah.
It's fun when everything's going well. That's for sure.
It's kind of quiet when things are going well.
True. Everybody's like, this is like nervously like, this is going too well.
Nothing to complain about.
Special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above: Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan D. Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Tim Keens, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Groffalo, Brandon Hanks, Matthew Tilley, and Luis Hernandez. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We love you. You can find this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you next week after a win.